Get all the people that hate the book report off the podcast. Really.
Yeah, if you want to forward through, then you probably shouldn't. And if you don't want to forward through and love this stuff, there's something wrong with it.
Great chapter.
Yes.
Great chapter.
So just as a reminder, we are going through the book called Killjoys, The 7 Deadly Sins, and we are on the last chapter, and the chapter is on lust. John Piper wrote this one. John Piper is one of my favorite pastors of all time. Love the man. I'll just read some quotes. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about my own experience as well, because I am familiar with this sin.
Most people are, to varying degrees.
Lust is sexual desire that dishonors its object and disregards God, which is pretty straightforward. So sexual desire in itself is good. God made it in the beginning, which I think is something that people don't often think about in sex and stuff like that, sexual stuff, that it's wrong, but it's good. God made it. It has its proper place, but it was to be governed, regulated, and guided by two concerns: honor towards the other person and holiness towards God. Lust is what sexual desire becomes when that honor and that holiness are missing. Did you agree?
Yeah. I was listening really in depth there. Sorry, you'd have to read that one more time for me.
Okay. Okay.
The last piece. What was that last sentence?
So it was made to be governed and regulated and guided by two concerns: honor towards the other person and holiness towards God. And so lust is what sexual desire becomes when that honor and that holiness are missing. So it's when it's in the wrong place, just being used for the wrong thing. And there's some, lust goes through everything, but I think there's one piece in this chapter that really stuck out to me on the damage of it. And that piece says, this means that the consequences of lust are going to be as bad or worse than the consequences of war. All war can do is kill your body. And Jesus said, do not fear those who kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. But I will warn you to whom to fear. Fear him that after he has killed, has power to cast you into hell. And it just...
Yeah, so on that line, the part that I had underlined was on top page 90, where he says, if you don't fight lust, you will not go to heaven.
Yeah.
Pretty blunt. And then the verses there, I just looked up Galatians 5:21.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, the top of the title on Galatians is 5:21 is living by the Spirit's power in the version that I'm reading anyways. But he...
There's more than one version?
Yeah. It says, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these. Let me tell you again, as I have before, that anyone living the sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of God. Yeah.
So I'm going to read there's a chapter, and there's a piece in this book where it's a little story from Piper, and I'll read the story. I think it's a good story, and it'll be easy to follow along. So here it goes. Some years ago, I spoke to a student body of a Christian high school on the topic, 10 lessons for fighting lust. Lesson number 6 was, ponder the eternal danger of lust. My text was Matthew 5:28-29, when Jesus says, everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intentions has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right hand causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. I pointed out that Jesus said heaven and hell are at stake in what you do with your eyes and with your imagination. After the message, one of the students came to me and asked, are you saying then that a person can lose his salvation? That is exactly the same response I got a few years earlier when I confronted a man about the adultery in which he was living. I patiently tried to understand his situation, and I pled with him to return to his wife. Then I said, you don't you know, don't you, that if Jesus says if you don't fight this sin with this kind of seriousness that is willing to gouge out your own eye, then you will go to hell and suffer there forever. He looked at me in utter disbelief, as though he had never heard anything like this in his life. He said, you mean you think a person can lose his salvation? I have learned again and again from the first-hand experience that there are many professing Christians who have a view of salvation that disconnects it from real life. They nullify the warnings of the Bible and put the person who claims to be a Christian but wages no war against his sin beyond the reach of biblical threats. Such doctrine is comforting thousands on their way to hell. Jesus said, if you don't fight lust, you won't go to heaven. The stakes are much higher than global terrorism. If you don't fight lust, you will not go to heaven. And then it's those verses that you just read.
That is wild.
Yes.
Yeah. that's the line. I think that the reason it hits me so hard is because I feel like a lot of people feel, let's just say, semi-convicted, right? And obviously a lot of people are just justifying and minimizing and rationalizing and doing all the things they do. Like, hey, it's not that bad. It could be worse. I could watch worse stuff. Or, hey, it's just a movie, or it's just, whatever the arguments are that people play. And then there's other people that know that they're watching an abomination all the time and are just caught in a horrible pit of secret sin and despair and hate themselves, which is where I was at one point. So I feel like it just keeps you so sick when it's a secret, right? So really the thing that I got out of this chapter is that if you're in that spot where you really struggle with this, you better be talking to somebody about it. Me, anybody. Like, just call them up and say, hey, I got to talk to you about something. Anybody, and it's just like, because that's 90% of it is just the fact that it's a secret.
Yeah.
And that's also fascinating.
Like, I actually wrote it as I was reading this chapter on the bottom of one of the pages I wrote, because I was thinking about my own journey through this stuff. Sin can't grow in the light. Expose it. Like, get it out in the light, even if it's like, can it cause more destruction? So I remember how I told Nicole that I cheated on her. So I was getting coached by Kim. It was in the first couple of weeks and stuff like that. And she said, does Nicole know everything about you? And I said, yeah, sort of, stuff like that. And I was kind of like vague, whatever, stuff like that. So she
half-truths.
Half-truths. So she's seen a little crack in the door. That's something she teaches in coaching. When someone gives you a crack in the door, open it. And so I'm like, yeah, something she didn't know. And so I actually ended up telling her, and she said, do you want a good marriage? I said, yeah. And she goes, well, you think not telling her is going to allow you to have a good marriage? And I said, no. So I told Nicole, which
some people would disagree with that. Some people would say that, I'm going to hurt my spouse if I tell them everything.
Oh yeah, that's for sure what's going to happen. But you already hurt them. You should have thought that earlier. Okay, that's done.
Yeah.
If you want to,
and if you're not fully known, then whoever is loving you or thinks they love you is loving not even the real you. So now it's a completely fraudulent relationship.
Yeah, and that was my thing all the time. Like, Nicole doesn't love me. She doesn't know who I am.
Yeah. If she did, she wouldn't love me.
Yeah, but it made the situation worse telling her, right? Like, it made our marriage worse. Initially though. Yeah. And so it's like, even getting out in the light, it's like a terrifying thing, and it's going to like blow things up and stuff like that. But there is only one road to getting better. And it's like, it's being real. Like, you can't have bullshit in your life. And so if you're in that spot, even if it's not the perfect way, not letting it out go in the light, because you don't know the exact person to tell, or it's going to cause some problems, stuff like that, is still worse than telling someone it's going to cause more problems. Yeah. So talk to someone about it. Yeah. Like, get it out in the light. Post it on Facebook every day if you need to.
All clear or not clear. The other thing I thought was, he ends with very practical stuff, right? The strategy. And I mean, I circled avoid, right? And I put in my comments are, most people don't even take this seriously, right? And I mean, I look at lust or any sin really, but especially stuff with your eyes, because, as we're visual creatures, men and women too. I think that, like, it's very different than, I mean, it probably was 50 years ago too, but it's definitely in our culture. Women struggle a lot with lust too. That's been the feedback that I get. So don't feel like you're different just because you do. And I think that people just don't take it serious. They don't avoid. They watch stuff they shouldn't be watching. Like, people say, oh, what Netflix shows do you watch? Well, none. Why? Because most of it, like, and there again, there's good stuff. I'm making a blanket statement. I'm just saying, for me, I need to have my conscience be tender with this type of thing, because very quickly, and I think that most people, Ken Dick in Freedom Sessions always says, you say you're struggling, you're struggling with this sin, whether it be lust or any other sin. If you say you're struggling, where's the battle scars, right?
Yes.
And so he talks about that here too. John Owen, he quotes John Owen, who said, and I think it feels like it's been in this book before, but it says, be killing sin or it will be killing you. Yeah. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. James 4 verse 7, right? And that resist piece, I mean, most people just don't resist. They just capitulate, and they don't even have any type of plan to deal with, a struggle of lust or sin or anything.
It's like, how important is it to you to get rid of it? Ultimately, what it comes down to, like I was thinking this week about my calendar, I schedule all those things that are really important to me. Some like my coaching calls and meetings or whatever, all the things that are like really important to me. Because like, if they're important to you, you have to schedule them to make sure they happen. And I was thinking, why don't I schedule more time, like one-on-one time with Malachi, like a half hour a day, and one time with Peter or whatever, to be super intentional. Because if you're not intentional, like put your phone away and stuff like that, it won't happen. Just like important stuff. And that's the same thing with this fight. Like, if you don't take it seriously, you're not going to win. Like, it's a brutal addiction. I mean, I think I had a guy on, Dean Orwell, on last week. It'll get published on January 4th. So this coming Saturday, if you're listening. And he was a cocaine addict and traveled the world as a singer. And he came to Jesus. And so he helps guys with addictions now. I totally lost my train of thought. But he, yeah.
Something to do with fighting less. Just watch the podcast.
So he told me there was a Pew Research poll that said 91% of men look at porn once a month. 91%. It's an inordinately high number, and we don't talk about it.
You sure can't tell in the church. I do not know why it's not talked about more, but I just think, man, people are living, if I look at how fraudulent I felt sitting there, I just think we're not doing a favor not talking about it. And of course it's shameful. It's meant to be shameful. Things that are wrong are meant to be shameful.
Yeah.
Recently I went to like a warming center in Chilliwack where, these people that I know are hanging out, keep serving drugs, and they've made it so you can't go see them when they're using. It used to be you could just walk in. No, they deserve their privacy. We don't want to stigmatize this. I'm like, things that aren't great for you,
you hide.
Well, they should be stigmatized to me. That's just natural, right?
Yeah.
It's like, some of my kids who smoking cigarettes, right? The other day, Noah was like, yeah, Dad, you used to do drugs, didn't you? I saw a picture of you smoking a cigarette. Yeah. And then the last one, or one of the other ones that I thought was interesting was the last one he had, it's an acronym, move into a useful activity away from idleness and other vulnerable behaviors. Lust grows fast in the garden of leisure. Find good work to do and do it with all your might. And then there's a quote here from Romans 12, verse 11. Do not be slothful in zeal, be fervent in spirit, and serve the Lord. And I mean, I know I can only speak for myself, but Marie and I often joke about it, and it's not always healthy. There should be idle time in my life. There should be time that I could just hang out with my family. So, but like, I don't feel like I have the margin to be screwing around.
Yeah.
Like I just don't, like I literally don't. Right. And so, when I'm on the computer, I have something I need to be doing. I don't have 3 hours to just sit there and, I think there is benefits of being, and I don't want to say busy because that's,
I read a quote this week that said the new palace that you can see Bathsheba from is Instagram or something else like that. Like King David walking on the top of the palace and he seen Bathsheba and then he ended up sleeping with her.
But now everybody just goes to Instagram and thinks, I'm going to go check out my friend's list.
Do it. Well, I mean, it's true. Like
nuke your friends' follows list, man. Just nuke it. Just go through it and anything. Like,
but you also don't need a social.
You don't even need to have Instagram. Yeah, that's actually
more than 50 minutes a day. Anyway, that's my number.
Yeah, but are you safe for 15 minutes? Is that just the right amount of time to do what you got to do? And
yeah, I mean, I just needed to post and to post my stuff. But
send me reels.
So at the end of the chapter, there's at the end of the chapter, there's a little acronym that Gary just referred to called ANTHEM, and it's avoid, know, turn, hold, what are the last two here?
Enjoy and move.
Enjoy and move. So I want to read hold and enjoy because I think you're just banging. Hold. Hold the promise and the pleasures of Christ firmly in your mind until it pushes the other images out. Fix your eyes on Jesus. Here's where many fail. They give in too quickly. They say, I tried to push it out and it didn't work. I ask, how long did you try? A minute? 5, 10? How long did you make war on that one temptation? How hard did you exert your mind? The mind is a muscle. You can flex it with vehemence. How do you say that word? I don't know. Take the kingdom violently. Be brutal. Hold the promise of Christ before your eyes. Hold it. Hold it. Don't let go. Keep holding it. How long? As long as it takes. Fight for Christ's sake until you win. If an electric garage door were about to crush your child, you would hold it until all your might and holler for help and hold it and hold it and hold it and hold it until it cut your fingers off. I think that's true. We just give in too quickly. We're just so soft. I'm like, oh, it's too hard, whatever. I can't do it. No, it's bullshit. You just don't want it. Second thing was enjoy. Read one more quote here. Super awesome. And recommend anybody to get this book and just go over this chapter. Enjoy a superior satisfaction. Cultivate capacities for pleasure in Christ. One reason lust reigns in so many is that Christ has so little appeal. We default to deceit because we have little delight in Christ. Don't say that kind of delighting just isn't for me. What steps have you taken to awaken affection for Jesus? Have you fought for joy? Don't be fatalistic. You were created to treasure Christ with all your heart, more than you treasure sex or sugarcoat or sports or shopping. If you have little taste for Jesus, competing pleasures will triumph. I love that line. If you have little taste for Jesus, competing pleasures will triumph. It's not just good enough to avoid a certain sin. You have to have it replaced with something better. Plead with God for the satisfaction you don't have. And then it quotes a verse, satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. That's a promise, by the way. Then look and look and look at the more magnificent person in the universe until you see him as supremely magnificent and satisfying as he really is. And I think that's the answer to fighting all sin. It's like Jesus. It has to be ultimately satisfying, because otherwise it's just going to be replaced with something else. It's so easy to trade your addiction for another addiction. So
I just looked through the notes.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value, getting more guests on, and me being able to spend more time and energy towards it. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click up here and it'll take you to a support page. But you can also subscribe to the podcast by clicking over here and doing that. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.